Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're the hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every day, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can view all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues that affect you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
You guys ready? Okay. Being 5:30, we'll call to order this meeting of Fitchburg Board of Public Works for August 5th, 2024, held in the Francis Huntley Cooper Council Chambers. We have Don here tonight, Alder Jetzer, myself, Dave Wilborn. Kim was not able to make it tonight. And public appearances for non-agenda items. Are you here for a non-agenda? No? Okay. All right. Then with that, we'll move on to item 3, approval of minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I approve.
I'll second it. Okay. Any questions on the July 15th Board of Public Works minutes? Okay. Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor of approval of the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Next, we have item 4, a report from the Director of Public Works, Mr. Tim Volker, PE.
Good evening. Some project updates to start this meeting with. Our Cyene Road Reconstruction Project, phase number 2. Bids are due August 21st, 2024. And then for phase number 3, bids are due August 14th, 2024, which is next week, Wednesday. And then for our 2024 street resurfacing project, all the street paving and curb and gutter replacement is complete on that project. Currently, the contractors working on restoration and pavement markings are under progress. And then we just completed the East Sherrill path, which is from Agrace to Promega, has just been completed with paving. And we're looking to incorporate some additional bike paths and basketball courts. There's a agenda item for the change order for that work later on for this meeting. Our 2024 street maintenance, which is our crack filling and chip seal project, the chip seal is all complete on that project, and we have approximately 50% of the crack seal remaining to be applied. So there's approximately 20 miles left of crack seal for that project. Project totals approximately 35 miles for that project. And then our sidewalk replacement project, we're looking to advertise that project next month. Our Fitchverona Road Goose Lake Stormwater Project, currently the engineering consultant is updating the existing stormwater model for that project, and then once that's complete, we'll look to commence the design work for that project. Our Greenway Cross Stormwater Sewer Project, the contractor is currently working on a punch list items for that project. And then our Fitchverona Road Reconstruction Project, this is from Tonto Trail north to Nesbitt Road. Staff is reviewing the final deliverables from the engineering consultant. Once we review it, we'll send comments to the consultant. They'll address that, and we'll look to then work on acquiring the land and the temporary easements for that project. With that, does anyone have any questions?
Board.
How are we doing budget-wise? Overruns or right on budget or?
For which project?
All of them.
So we'll see how we're doing budget-wise for the Saline Road reconstruction project once the bids come in. Our street resurfacing, we're currently on budget. The change order that's on the agenda later today is just additional work that we're looking to incorporate it into that project. We haven't had any other change orders for that project, so pricing was good too. That's why we're looking to do that work. For our street maintenance project, so far no change orders on that project. That's our crack filling and chip seal project. And our sidewalk replacement project, we'll kind of see how we're doing budget-wise once we get bids in for that in a couple weeks.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Bill.
Did I hear that right, that Phase 3 bids are due a week before Phase 2 bids?
Correct. So that is correct. The Phase 3 was put out to bid first because we had a deadline for DOT. It's the DOT grant-funded portion of the project. So in order to meet their schedule, that project had to go out to bid. And then Phase 2, the city's paying 100% for. So that's due a week later.
I just had the first question. Is it completion by end of next year for the Saline Road project, or is it out farther than that?
End of next year, correct.
Okay.
So we'd look to award that both Phase 2, Phase 3 this year. Some minor grading and probably erosion control could happen prior to winter, and then the majority of the work would start spring of 2025 and then be complete prior to winter next year.
And the second question, are we anticipating the sidewalk replacement completed by the end of
Yes.
this year? Good. Anything else? Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
We'll move on to our agenda items. First, we have 5 Alpha Resolution R-14024, accepting subdivision improvements in the Lacey Ridge Townhome Certified Survey map. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve R-14024.
Thank you, Don. Moved by Don.
Second.
Second by Bill. I'll let you run us down on this one, Tim.
Sure. On June 30th, 2022, Lacey Ridge Townhomes and the city of Fitchburg entered into an agreement for subdivision improvements in the Lacey Ridge Townhomes CSM. Public Works Department has inspected and conditionally approved the subdivision improvements required in the CSM as being in the condition called for by the contract. Subdivider has agreed to warranty said improvements in the CSM against defects in materials and workmanship for 14 months subsequent to compliance with the terms of the contract and this resolution, and otherwise to comply with the terms of the contract and this resolution. They have one small punch list item still remaining. It's to remove some sediment and to grade and restore with EMAT. We were out there today. They were aware of it, and we'll get that addressed as soon as possible. Besides that small area, everything else has been completed.
Thank you, Tim. Questions?
Yeah, so when it says conditionally approved, that's the one item that's remaining, or is there something else to that word conditional?
Just that one item.
Tim, when does the 14 months start?
From final acceptance.
Okay.
So when I believe the council approves it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anyone else have anything on that?
Just curiosity on the rest of the parcels around there. Is that all going to be residential like this? The part south, there's no numbers on it, but I assume that's going to be all developed.
You referring what page?
Page 2 of 4, the map.
Yeah, so 2674 is the Lacey Ridge Townhomes project, that parcel. The vacant parcel on the corner of Lacey Road and Notre Dame, that's development hasn't come in yet for that, but that could be residential or potentially commercial, like a mixed use. And then to the south, I believe, is residential.
Okay. Thanks.
Anyone else have anything?
The one that could be mixed use, who owns that lot, do you know?
I do not know off the top of my head.
Anything else? Call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R14024 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have Resolution R13724 approving agreement number 1 with FGM Architects for a police services facility. A motion to approve.
Motion approve R13724.
Thank you, Don. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Dave Wilborn. Tim, do you want to speak, or does Paul want to handle this? Hello, Paul.
Hi there. So I guess Tim's not. Hey, all right, that's fine. So the Common Council earlier this year did approve, actually, the May 28th meeting, reduced square footage of the police facility at 52,000 square feet approximately, and total cost about $40 million. So what we're having to do is FGM is going to have to redo all the schematic design and about half the design development, along with some revised programming work. And then also there will be some work with sustainability as well. So the total amendment for FGM is $399,000. This will allow us to get the project back on track and then within budget.
Thank you. Questions?
So I'd be glad to take any questions.
Yeah. Dave?
None.
Bill?
Yeah, I saw in there, and I don't know if this is a mistake or just a different way of defining two-story building, but it does say that it's on page 10 of 14 in there, 52,244 square feet for a two-story building. Is that just because a portion of the lower level is exposed, or was that a typo?
Yeah, so actually the last building is three-story. It's not 100% sure yet, but most likely it will end up being, what you'll see up on Lacey Road and Research Park Drive will be one story, but it's considered a two-story building if they expose lower level. That's not 100% sure at this point, but I'd say it's a pretty good chance that's the way it's going to end up in order to get this thing within budget.
Okay.
Don, anything?
This contract mod covers us to get a $40 million building, or is it dependent on what bids are coming and then there'll be another redesign?
Hopefully this will be it. I mean, we've got the square footage, and we'll have to make the adjustments as needed through the design to get it to that $40 million number.
Thank you for going through the exercise to get us where the financial constraints put you. Bill, did you have something else?
Yeah, I'm curious on the sustainability allowance. So the prior incarnation of the building was 74,000 square feet and had a $2.5 million allowance. And this building is 30% smaller, and the amount that's listed here, the $3.5 million, is 40% higher. So I guess I'm wondering if you can just say a few things at a high level about what the differences are.
Well, no, I believe the last one was $3.5 million. So we're still carrying $3.5 million. And I know it's a smaller building, but we are hopeful that with the new layout, with one story or two story, however you want to define it, they're going to have more roof area for solar. So that's one possibility we're looking at, is to be able to put more solar on it. So the geothermal cost will come down a little bit because it's a smaller building, won't need 5 new wells, but you still have all your fixed mechanical equipment to run that geothermal system. And again, we're hoping to get more solar panels on this type of roof. Before, we had a bit of a shadowing problem. The two stories kind of up in the center. So we're optimistic we may get more solar on it. But that'll be defined more as we work our way back through the schematic design and the design development.
Okay. I did go back and look at the presentation that FGMA had done for RCC, and it was $2.5 million at that time. So I guess I was, wondering if we were aiming for net zero now, whereas we weren't previously, or something like that.
No, we're aiming for the same thing. Same as we had before.
Anything else? No. Yeah. Call the vote. All in favor of resolution R13724, approving agreement number 1 with FGM for the police station, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Next, we have Resolution 5 Charlie, R14124, resolution of support for FY 2024 SS 4A grant application for the Greater Madison MPO Regional Safe Streets Community Safety Enhancement Partnership. We have a motion to approve.
I move approval of R14124.
Second.
Moved by Alder Jetser, second by Don. This is this grant, Tim. We have there's no. I assume we're competing with this grant with other cities in the state. You know, my experience with these grants, we got mixed results. They're not necessarily a high success rate.
With this specific grant, it's a joint application.
Okay.
The Madison Metropolitan MPO is going to be leading this, and we're be teaming with the MPO, and Dane County, Verona, Cottage Grove, and Shorewood Hills are also part of the application. And basically the Safe Streets and Roads for All, which is the SS4A grant program, provides dedicated initiatives to prevent death and serious injury on roads and streets. Eligible projects for the fiscal year 2024 SS4A grant program includes creating a safety action plan. A safety action plan would enable staff to make informed decisions about roadway safety projects. So as I mentioned, the MPO is leading the development of this regional supplemental planning grant application for fiscal year 2024, and the city of Fitchburg will partner with the MPO to provide the required 20% local match, which is $60,000 for the development of a safety action plan that would be specific to the city of Fitchburg. So we're looking for support and approval that the MPO Regional Safe Streets Community Enhancement Partnership application for the 2024 SS4A Planning and Demonstration Grant Program.
Thank you. Questions?
Yeah, so we're all, joining with several municipalities joining with the MPO. Are we all going to have our own separate projects managed individually, or is there going to be some level of coordination between the municipalities?
So each is kind of doing their own specific planning. I believe Dane County, and I can pull up specifically which municipality is doing what.
Okay, are there any projects that span municipalities?
No, each one's specific within. Dane County obviously would span the entire county, and they recently upped their project total cost to $500,000. Originally, I believe it was only $200,000. So they upped theirs to $500,000 with $100,000 coming out of their 20% match. So that one would span all the other municipalities, but like Shorewood Hills, Verona, and
don't forget Fitchburg.
Cottage Grove would be all individual.
Okay.
Other questions?
I'm still a little confused. It sounds like it's just a planning study grant. It's not leading to actual projects, unless
Correct.
They're using it for their highway safety improvement funding.
Correct. So there's kind of with the Safe Streets for All grant, it's kind of split up into two different phases. Phase one is for planning, and then what that leads into is the actual implementation of those projects would be phase two. So if we were to be successfully awarded this, then the projects that the planning study identifies, we would apply for grants to actually implement those projects.
So they're looking at the criteria to get federal grant money, and then they're going to look at elements in this planning study to make us more eligible for these?
Correct.
Okay. Because the concern I have is your very beginning, talking about fatalities. Yeah. We're not going to have the fatalities if they're going to just target fatalities. They're just going to do all sorts of improvements on the Beltline or in the city of Madison.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the safety action plan will be specific towards us, so we'd identify, with our safety action plan, kind of what the plan would look at is at a minimum kind of leadership commitment and goal setting, planning structure, a safety analysis, engagement, collaboration, policy and process changes, strategy and project selections, and progress.
And the MPO is still building their high injury network, and I suspect that they'll be able to use that so that even if there are no fatalities in neighboring municipalities, they can say, oh, look, this intersection or stretch of road or whatever is substantially similar to this other one that's part of our high injury network. And so this, similar areas should be eligible for treatments.
Understood. If it leads us to getting more grant money, I'm all for it. If it leads us to helping define new alders on how we should divvy up the money for safety improvements, I'm all for it. But if we're just studying for the sake of studying, I don't know if that's going to help.
No, ultimately, we want to receive more money to implement these projects. Worst case, if we don't receive more money, it still helps the city prioritize, safety improvements within the city.
Absolutely. If it does that, and then it helps the alders when they're divvying up the money to say, you know what, we need $20,000 per year or $50,000 per year to do safe neighborhood community development. Bingo, I'm with you.
Absolutely.
Kind of led to my point, in my 31 years on this board. I'm not sure where the room is, but I'm sure there's a room at City Hall that is filled up with studies and plans that we have made. That room is chock full, that gathering dust, and I certainly don't want that to happen. I know you won't let it happen, Tim, but for people listening, there are a lot of buzzwords. Give me three things that might come out of this that would be, throw out three things that would be an improvement, on maybe existing facilities in our city. I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but what would be some things we might do with to improve?
You would look at specific intersections where there's high crashes. It would help the city, I think, prioritize. Hey, this intersection's a higher priority versus this one, this local road where maybe there's a handful of residents complaining versus, the major intersection where the crashes happen or the accidents are more severe. So it helps prioritize that and kind of keeps the city focused in on those more important projects and not, I guess, have these smaller ones kind of jump and kind of get completed prior to the more important.
Okay. Well, you heard my thoughts on the study. Okay, like I say, I want if we hopefully we get this, I want to implement. Here's our plan, and then we want to implement it. I don't want it gathering dust like so many studies and money we've spent on consultants to do for us. I assume we're doing the study internally.
A consultant would be hired. So the total cost of this city study is estimated at $300,000. So city's portion contributions 20% of $300,000. So $60,000 we'd come up with, and that's where we'd utilize CIP project number 1045, which is the capital grant match funding. So that CIP project is money that the city puts away every year in case a grant application kind of comes up that wasn't on our radar, and kind of helps us fund it potentially if we were to be awarded.
Okay.
So if we were awarded, we'd come back to council with an budget amendment to utilize funding out of that project.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for that explanation. I think you know where I stand. All right, Don?
I'm with you 100%. If I can understand this is getting grant money, so the new bill, federal money, can we get some money doled our way? But if we don't get that, it would be nice to use this, that the MPO will commit to use it at least how they're divvying up their highway safety improvement money. We won't rank high based on volumes or crashes with Madison or Beltline or those, but we may have significant improvements we want. If they can commit to say, we'll use this to help us prioritize so each community gets at least highway safety improvement, there'll be a win in that for us. And then the other win, so it's not dusty on there, is, I mean, you folks have to go through so much in that budget thing that if we highlight out of this certain intersections or locations or ped crossings or bike crossings of importance, or the neighborhood improvement safety funded needed, if it highlights those, then at least you'll know, hey, you got to carve out 50,000, 100,000 out of our budget to feed those fixes. That would be a win, I think, overall.
Anyone else have anything? Right. So I hope we'll be successful. All in favor of resolution R14124 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Next, we have 5 Delta, resolution R14524, approving change order number 1 for the 2024 street resurfacing project.
I so move we approve resolution R-145-24.
Moved by Dave, second by Bill. Tim, you want to explain the extra projects that and how you came up with them, or a little background on why we're fitting them in here?
The city approved an agreement for the 2024 street resurfacing project, which includes path resurfacing through R64-24 back on April 9th, 2024. The 2024 bid prices are low enough to accommodate additional path resurfacing than initially planned, as well as 2 half basketball courts. The additional paths are located in Wildwood South Park, Mickelson Woods Park, and a small connector bike path in Quarry Hill. The 2 half basketball courts are located in Seminole Glen Park and Hillside Heights Park. And the sidewalks and paths CIP includes funding for this work. So we're looking for approval for change order number 1 to the 2024 street resurfacing project in the amount of $51,052.50 to incorporate this additional work.
Makes sense. Questions for Tim?
Yeah. So the original contract price was for $2.45 million, but there was also 10% contingency built into that, and this line item is another $51K. So how are we on the 2.45, and have we, is there still room there, and that's why we're doing this, or is there still room under the contingency, and that's why we're doing this?
Yeah, so the contingency, the city has a road resurfacing CIP project, which is for the roads, and that contingency came out of that CIP, and that's still there. However, these are paths, and the city has a CIP for paths, so we're taking the $51,000 out of the paths CIP and utilizing that money, so that the contingency for the roads will still remain there, and then we're just taking from a different fund to cover these paths, because the city specifically has a CIP. I believe it's number 3486. It's the sidewalks and paths project. So our sidewalk project comes out of there too, and then our bike paths also come out of there. So it's a dual purpose CIP.
What was the split between the paths and the half basketball courts? Is it, since we're using the paths CIP, I'm hoping that more of the money is.
Yeah, more of the money is for the paths. Okay. And let me get the change order.
It's on page 33 of 37. Okay. So it says $6,600 for the basketball courts, and then
path paving's $28,490.
And $8,000 to pulverize and remove.
All right, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions on this?
How do we? Well, one may be just more education. If we have an overrun here, can you apply it to any? I know we'd have an underrun that you want to utilize the money for, but we have overruns in other projects. Can you mix and match and shift it over? I mean, if you're overrunning in potholes in some road, can we shift this money over to that?
Yeah, we can. We just have to amend the budget to do that. So that would take council action, whether it's a 2/3 vote or majority vote. And then sometimes you can't bring capital improvement money into the operating budget. So sometimes you have to keep that separate.
That's the main thing you have to avoid is the operating versus capital. But it's I'll give you an example here. In the last few years, we had leftover contingency from the Fish Hatchery Road project that we were able to apply. We had over on McKee Road at the intersection with Seminole, we had an overrun there due to a location of a manhole that didn't get, and so we had a contingency from that capital project that we were able to apply to this other one. So that it took an amendment, like Tim was mentioning, in council, but that's one way we have done it in the past.
And with the contingency monies, so with the road resurfacing, if we don't eat into that, contingency we have there, we would roll that into next year's project. So that's just additional funding that we could utilize to resurface more roads next year, because we didn't use that contingency this year. So if it's in a capital improvement project, we like to kind of keep it in that project if it's an annual capital project, and then just roll it into the next year, just do more work the following year.
Okay. The other one is from an asset management standpoint. Were these on the list to do next year anyhow, or the next budgetary cycle, or are they just let's grab them because they're close? And
for the paths?
Yeah, well, the paths and the basketball, because I'm not sure if they're high-use basketball courts or if no one uses them. We're just
they were on our list to do, and just looking to move them or get them done, because that there is funding, and we did receive good pricing this year. So the paths are always incorporated into the road project because of the volume of asphalt that we repave for the roads. So, we get good pricing, and if we don't eat into that contingency, then we definitely want to get it done with the good pricing.
Well, I understand that, but these ones in particular, had you not had money left over, you would have been doing them anyhow next year.
Next year, correct.
Okay.
Good point. Good point of distinction. Dave, did you have something?
No.
Okay. Bill?
Is there such a thing as, like what this was, if the contractor gets done with the street resurfacing and they have a pile of hot mix left over, do we ever, is that a thing? And then would we say, oh, hey, could you do this basketball court for us as long as you've got that pile there?
Well, the basketball court would have to be, demoed, the existing asphalt for them to do that. But they typically, know how much to order as they're laying it. Right now the road resurfacing project's all done with they just finished up Cheryl, I think maybe last week. That got paved. So we are paying a little bit more. You'll see in the last line item on that change order a mob cost for them to come back with the equipment of $8,000 to have them do this additional stuff.
Any other questions on this? It was good discussion. Call the vote. All in favor of resolution R14524 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Next announcements. Our next Board of Public Works will be Monday, August 26th. Is that the Monday?
Yes.
Let me get up. Bring my calendar up.
Is you going to change it from the 19th to the 26th?
To the 26th.
Okay.
And then the second item, the September 2nd falls on
Labor Day.
So we are moving that one to September 9th. The one for 2 weeks from now that we're moving to 26th, that's due. Tracy is working on a water main project that she'd like to have
Correct.
ready for. She'd like us so we can approve it, so it can come to council that week, so. Let's give
Well, I'm
her-
going to be here anyway.
Okay. We'll check with Kim, but I think everyone else is here. Not on the 26th, you're not here. Okay. All right, we'll check with Kim, but three of us. All right, so at this point, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Moved by Don, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned.